To keep an eye on what's going on at Westminster, chatting to MPs, reading all sorts of weighty tomes like The Economist and Prospect magazine, even this rather nerdy offering from Brussels, European Voice. I have to say though, until this week, I've never read this, the Church Times. No excuse really, it's been in publication since 1863. An article in here the other week from the Prime Minister has really got people thinking. David Cameron pontificating about the Church of England, its role in society. If you sleep in the garage, does that make you a car? Can you be a Christian without going to church? It got me thinking really, does that wedding I went to about 6 months ago, does that count? And it's not just the Prime Minister who sparked this discussion.
Lord, it's difficult to be a Christian today, isn't it? In Syria, for instance, Iraq, certainly in Egypt, but also sometimes here in Hackney. Why is Islam so much more popular?
The BBC Two sitcom Rev has been exploring similar ground, but despite there often being rather more seats in church than bums on them, the C of E is the established church in England. The Queen is head of state and supreme governor of the Church of England. This is Lambeth Palace, the home of the Archbishop of Canterbury, at least when he's not in Canterbury. You get a sense of the glue that binds the Church of England to Parliament and the state when you take a quick look across the River Thames and see a building that is rather familiar. Another palace, the Palace of Westminster, home to 26 Lords Spiritual, as they're known, bishops who have a seat in the upper house. The Deputy Prime Minister, Nick Clegg, an atheist, has suggested junking the connection between the Church of England and the state. It's happened for the Church of Wales and the Church of Scotland yonks ago. Not easy, though, says this Pews and Politics watcher.
Establishment is a very particular example of the classic British fudge. It is where we've come from historically, and it goes very deep. I don't think we should underestimate the constitutional complexity of unpicking it.
That building behind the tree is Westminster Abbey, and the bloke I'm talking to standing between it and Parliament is, well, have a guess.
I'm the link between Parliament and the Church of England. It's a Crown appointment, so I'm accountable neither to the Archbishop nor to the Prime Minister. I'm accountable ultimately to the Crown, and it fleshes out in seeing the Chancellor for more money for cathedrals, to negotiations with ministers over some of the details of same-sex marriages, to some of the details with ministers in DEFRA over, bat poo in churches and the damage they do.
So yes, from the toilet habits of flying mammals to weighty constitutional arguments. Plenty to chew on.